All right, hey everybody. Thanks for tuning in to today's stream. I'll be going through some contribution for Drupal-rector. If you've been following along, I have been working to help get the Drupal-rector project onto Rector 0.10. It previously was at 0.7 locked in from last July. And to help get Drupal-rector ready for the Drupal 10 release cycle and Drupal 10 readiness and all that, I am contributing to get that up to date. And luckily, I have received some feedback from the project maintainer, from Dan Montgomery. So I'm going to go through and read some of that and just get caught up here. So thanks again, use Drupal-rector sandbox. This has been resolved. Oh yeah, we had one issue where Rector had a bad release rollout and it was causing some issues with the prefixed code in its namespaces. So work in progress review. Do we still have this? No, nope, we do not. It's debugging code. 7 days ago, I believe he created a branch. Please see that. Created a fork here. All right. So one thing that maintainers can usually do, and it looks like, so maintainers are allowed to publish to a pull request, but they have to check out your origin, and it looks like he pushed it to theirs. So I'll just have to cherry pick out those fixes. I'm in the release if you want to now. We've had to do that before. Can we update the Readme with directions for an PHP unit? And remove the hat, please see here. So I'm just going to go read his branch and try to cherry pick that into my own. So let's do I've got my code base open here. So let's do a fetch prune on my remote and then a fetch prune on the upstream. So I have a Git alias called Git FP, and that is fetch prune, or fetch and then -- prune. So it will fetch all the remote objects, but also remove any that have been removed. All right, so found there upstream master, but there should be all right, so let's go back to this branch. Let's look at commits. So I will do a git cherry pick. Actually, let's do git merge upstream. Git remote v. Why isn't that branch showing up? Upstream is here. This branch is here too. That's really peculiar. Let's see. I'm gonna try copy that. So git remote set URL upstream. So let's do git fetch all. Let's do git fetch all on upstream. Oh, just git fetch all doesn't take an argument. Why in the world can't I see this branch? 1 second. I'm extremely confused. Like, so the branch is here. Why don't I see all these branches from the upstream? Get missing branches from upstream. And while I check that out, is what I want to do is I want to merge in Dan's fixes here. So I'm going to copy that shot and just even do git show bad object. Git branch upstream master. Why doesn't it have BV origin. This is just silly. I'm gonna make a comment. Added my fork as a remote. You could push as it grants access that way. I can merge in your branch to mine though and work on remaining fixes. If I can get this figured out. So let's do this. Let's do git branch rector 010 upstream. Let's check out that branch. Git branch set upstream to upstream rector 010. Requested upstream branch does not exist. If you're planning on basing your work on an upstream branch that already exists at the remote, you may need to run git fetch to retrieve it. It's there. This is ridiculous. Let's look at Git Config. So everything about Git is it's in the .git folder and it's all text files. So I want to see what in the world GitHub resolved equals base. You know, I wonder if it's something because I used the GitHub command line to fetch everything, or I used GitHub clone, and I wonder if it only added with this definition here. So I used GitHub clone, GitHub repo clone, and I gave my fork name. And it cloned in my fork at this URL and attached the upstream remote. But if we look, we got plus refs, heads, and it only allows the master branch. So if you've ever been curious in editing, like we can go in here and let's create an asterisk and another one here. And I'm going to save my work. So pro tip, if you use GitHub, there we go. So if you did GitHub repo clone, if you did GitHub repo clone ever on the command line, it's going to only add the upstream at its main branch. You won't be able to ever check out a different branch and fetch it. So if you're new to Git or you didn't know you could do this, that's how you do it. You can edit .git. We did vim, git, and then we did the config file, which let me manage the references, like what gets fetched with the reference. This GitHub resolved is something that the GitHub CLI reads, so it's not actually part of Git. So that was fun, if we'll say. So let's go check out my original branch again. So I'm gonna branch delete rector upstream. So I don't need that branch anymore because I was going to create that branch and try to fetch it. So what I'll do is I'll do git merge. So you can merge remote branches. You don't need to have it be checked out. As long as you do a git fetch, Git knows about those objects and can do the merge itself. So we're going to do git merge. I'm going to do upstream rector 10. And now I'm going to do git push origin, or I'm going to do just git push because my branch is tracking. So now, if we go back to my pull requests, we should see Dan's commits. First time contributors need approval, maintainer approval before running workflows. Over here, or Dan. Wait. Oh, why is it even showing this error? Because I'm not a first-time contributor. Need approval before running the workflows. Instead of opening Slack on my computer, which will cause mayhem, I'm going to quick try to Slack them. Bum, 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 bum. Let me get, I'm going to the D10 readiness channel in Slack on my phone because for some reason I'm signed into the Drupal Slack on my phone when I probably shouldn't, but I cannot help myself. Dan Shaw. Hey, GitHub. Let's see. Hey, comma, GitHub changed how they allow first-time contributors to run workflows, period, because they were receiving a bunch of crypto miner spam, period. So I merged in those commits, but GitHub Actions won't run until a maintainer approves it. There we go. All right. So I guess the next thing to do is I didn't fully review all the changes that he made. So I'm going to just quick look at that to see what's remaining in our tests. Let's see. So this so he spun out. I had a test that was a canary for web form, and he made it his own workflow. Okay, and actually I should update these to use my I created a setup command for running or for doing just this. So if you go to like side quest real quick. So if you go to GitHub Marketplace and you search simple, I created an extension that simplifies all of this and actually this too, where you register yourself as a repository to be installed. So you just do uses setup Drupal, specify the version, and then you can do compose or require your own package name and it will install. I have this on PHP and Drupal right now. I'll worry about adding rector or other ones later on. Functional test rector. So this just moves a few things around. All right, that deletes the old files. Static analysis PHP stand, unit test PHP unit. Just spun everything out to their own workflows. This removes bhat. That should be pretty simple. The functional test, make a copy of the folder, removes bhat. Include Symfony YAML because it's required for the PHP unit test. We should make that be a maybe if it's required for the test. Let's make it. Oh, wait, before I comment something silly, it's already in required dev. So, okay. So that makes sense. And recursive copy of these here. Perfect. So I'm going to read through Dan's comments because it looks like we're all set. Hello there. Thanks for tuning in. I'm really excited because Dan did some amazing work and I think we have everything covered. So I'm going to just reread his last comments here. Oh, here we go. Outdated. Actually, this keeps comments. So I'm going to just go bottom up. So can we restore, replace comments? So when you run drupal-rector, it will add comments in certain areas like entity manager. I believe this is one where if something seems kind of like, we don't know if this is what you wanted, it adds those comments. And we actually had that as a bug that was fixed. So I just hit Command 9 and that opens the Git terminal here. So if I look at comments, fixes parent nodes, now just parent. So if I go, not open on GitHub, copy link, I guess go to parent commit. That's going to open Chrome. I don't want it to open my Chrome. There. Sorry, I set Chrome as my default because I use it for work. I primarily use Brave when not work. Commits like this, fixed, commenting. It was one of the first regressions found. Can you comment on the places that were modified? All right, so I need to comment on that. Okay, so I'm going to start the new comment to try to. Oh, here's my go at providing feedback. That's not it. So let's go to this comment. I think it'll be resolved. I'll let him choose to do it. Previously, with older versions of PHP stand, the original point at this folder and auto load. Okay, that broke. Copied over methods from PHP stand Drupal. Once this merges, I'm actually making a new package called Drupal static autoloader, which drupal-rector, PHP stand Drupal, and even the Psalm plugin can use. Let's see here if I can find that exact file. So I believe it was on the PHP unit Bootstrap file. Oh, yeah, I really I can explain that. So it's about this Drupal PHP unit Bootstrap file, and if you watch a few of the previous ones, you'll know that it's like, oh my goodness. So what this does is it finds Drupal and this is copies from Drupal's PHP unit Bootstrap and builds all the names for tests. It then also handles this funky little test compatibility trait that allows Drupal to basically support PHP unit 6 to 9. And right now for Drupal 8, we have to support 6 or 7. So that's why this file's here. Is used to register test namespaces and work around bugs and traits. I can explain, but it's a big topic to explain. It's covered in previous streams, but this blog helps explain. Not my admin content. So I'm going to go to my website and try to find my blog. Supported. Maybe it's in here. Yep. So this is when back in October, December rather, I went down the rabbit hole of fixing this PHP unit test compatibility trait thing. And it took about 20 hours of work to get through it, which is also one reason earlier in the year I said, I'm not going to maintain this stuff until I receive funds. Because it's just, this is extremely complicated due to the fact that PHP stand, so drupal-rector leverages PHP stand for like code analysis and performing its magic. Well, PHP stand assumes that projects have their auto-loading state, their namespace is dumped via Composer. Drupal doesn't do that. It has things but a lot of it's dynamic based on the enabled modules, and then our testing namespaces are completely different too. Drupal has a very highly dynamic autoloader, and that means it needs a lot of glue to work between PHP Stand and Drupal. Well, we have Drupal going between various minor versions that are supporting major versions of its dependencies, aka PHP unit, and we're trying to go from 8 to 9 to 10. And there's just all these compatibility things that have to go into effect to handle autoloading. Meanwhile, PHP Stand is changing how it handles autoloading to be more pure, you could say, to mimic as if it was actually compiled. So there's just a lot of things to chase, which makes it extremely complex. So I'm hoping that's a sufficient answer. Isn't clear what you're saying, something that sounds like defaults. Can we explain that? Can I actually comment on that for some reason? Oh yeah, we can. No idea. This was added defaults don't persist. We can, but but with new there are no defaults, so you have to provide them. I'm fairly certain. I honestly don't know what this does. It was from the original upgrade PR. That's not autocomplete there. Like, I honestly don't know what it does. And let's see if he removed that for me. Nothing found, so we'll resolve that. All right, so that leaves then this comment. I'm okay with pinning the release for now. I'd like to keep it open, but at a floating patch release, since minor, they fixed the regression fairly fast. Sorry, this is a bit, I don't know, it's not so exciting, but like open source development's not always exciting. This is a lot of it. It's like reading through. Can we update the README with instructions for running PHP unit locally? The process seems to work. I think this got resolved. So like this is open source development. It's commenting, it's triaging, it's trying to read what other people worked on. And you know, not just always writing code. So I think the next step is to update the README with instructions on running PHP unit locally now that it's a requirement for maintainers. I'm assuming that these errors worked. That's part of what Dan did, is to resolve those. Let's see if he updated the README for automated testing here. It does not. All right. Oh, PHP unit is used to run the unit tests. PHP Stand is used for that. For the rector tests. To do. Here we go. No, I don't want to delete the whole thing. To run the base PHP unit tests, which run unit tests against rector rules, just run the following. So we actually have this set up. I'm going to go through this myself manually. So inside of here, we have this fixtures directory with Drupal in it. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And it's going to take forever because I did it inside PHP Stand Drupal, and it's going to take a bit, and we're going to run through this. So we've got a PHP unit file. So we're going to just make sure that we actually document this very well, and hopefully that's good for the maintainers. So we're going to do PHP vendor, PHP unit, bin, PHP unit, and run it. So that's, I wish it wasn't so dangerous looking, but we're just going to copy this here. So one thing it's saying is that for the integration test to run, you have to have a test fixture available. So Drupal integration test, setup if mark test skipped. And it has various tests it runs. I wish we could have it only spit out the error once instead of every single time with a stack trace. Do we have a PHP unit here? Verbose is true. Change that to false. And maybe it won't be as obnoxious. There we go. Great. And that's actually the default. So let's turn off it being verbose. You will see that some tests were skipped. These are the Drupal integration tests. To run those, run the following commands. I have them in here. Now, when you run PHP unit, the Drupal integration test will run. So we can do that. I'm going to run this again, and we will make sure it works. And that no tests were skipped, and then we verified that, the testing instructions work. So we did that, and we go into CD into there, and we run composer require dev 8.9. And when we support Drupal 9, we're going to have to update these to say if you want to test 8 or 9. Well, so now we did that. So if I run PHP unit, oh, I got to go back into my main directory. I should have no skip tests, and it's going to take a while. Now, what would be really nice is if we had a composer script for this. So I'm going to see if there's a way to write or getcomposer.org. So you can write scripts in composer.json. Autoload, replace, require dev. There's none here, but I want to read the documentation on it to composer.json schema, scripts, root only. All right, so there's all these hooks, but we don't necessarily want the hooks. Defining scripts. I believe you can pass for an array. Scripts execute in order defined when their corresponding event is fired. An array of scripts wired to a single event can contain both that. So let's try something. I don't want it to be a PHP script. I just want it to run bash. Error handlers changed. Oh, that's not good. Oh, there's even more. Oh, jeez. So this is fun. Is equal must be how is this different? Vendor PHP. Oh, because it's inside Drupal. It's inside the PHP inside a Drupal and it doesn't match with PHP unit. Well, that's not fun. I think we had we covered this 1 second. We just can't run due to conflicting PHP unit versions and return types. We cannot test on test files. All right, so I'm just going to comment this out because we should be able to do that for Drupal 9. Should be fine on Drupal 9. All right, I'm going to rerun the test to make sure. And now we've got an error. I'm going to actually run composer update real quick and see if that, nope. Oh, come on. For errors, cannot auto wire service rector type. All right, I don't know what is going on here and why all this is so broken. So I'm going to just do I'm just going to rebuild it. So everything is going sideways on me right now. But originally, let's go back to what I was hoping to achieve here. Where I'm going to enter in a scripts, which I'll wait for it to be finished indexing so that way it loads up properly. So when you use PHP Storm, it will autocomplete parts of the composer.json file. And it does with VS Code as well because it has a JSON schema file attached to it, which this is currently re-indexing all of my vendor directories, so it's taking a little bit of time. I'm going to refresh this to see if one of the maintainers maybe clicked the button. So that way we could get the test to run. Looks like it's not. I don't know if anybody's read this, but with public forks, you have to get approvals for the runs to happen because people were running crypto miners against open source projects and hijacking GitHub Actions to run crypto miners. So that's new and also a big pain. So let's wait for this to finish indexing. And so the plan is once this pull request gets merged, we can start working on the Drupal 9 readiness, or not Drupal 9 readiness, but Drupal 9 support. There's not as many deprecations for Drupal 9, but there are a few, and we're going to work on getting those. So we're going to write a script. We're going to call it PHP unit Drupal fixture. And I believe we should be able to pass it an array. And that array we can pass, I'm hoping this works, where we can just pass an array of bash commands and they all execute so we can simplify the user's bootstrapping for tests. So I'm going to run this, and it should complain that it's not empty. All right, so let's go ahead and delete that again. And run PHP unit Drupal fixture. And oh, I hope this works, because now we can just tell people to run a composer command. Permission did not, wait. CD test fixtures. Oh, wait, shoot. I had this problem. So I hit Command C, but I'm used to having it to, for some reason I hit Shift. And when you do Shift Command C, it copies the file name of what you're in. So maybe we should have this do. Actually, I don't like it when scripts delete folders for you, because I feel like that's a way for things to go wrong. So I'm not going to add like a remove folder here. Let's just run this again. I'm going to run it outside of here. So let's do composer run script fixture. Then we can do this command here. So now as things change, we can set stuff up. So one thing we should call it, so like let's future proof this. We're going to call it Drupal 8 fixture. Oh, and it ran composer require in the current directory. Right, so we're going to call this PHP unit Drupal 8 fixture, so that way when we work on Drupal 9, people's commands aren't broken. So let's go into here. And actually, instead of doing a CD, what we can say is, I believe it's current working directory. Let's go back. Let's go to the docs real quick. Documentation, command line, current directory. There should be a global option for the current working directory. Oh, working directory. There we go. So copy that, paste it there. So let's rerun this command, delete our test case, our test fixture. So now contributors can just run one command and be all set and good to go. Forgot to call it Drupal 8. And the reason why we have to require core dev is there's some analysis that happens against the PHP unit code that exists. So there we go. Now if I do PHP and I do PHP unit, is it going to error on rector cache? Too few arguments passed to here. So I'm going to delete this rector cache because I don't know what is going on here. And see if that fixes it. Maybe that was my problem all along, is I just had some bad rector cache. Maybe not. I feel like this is constantly a battle against random failures. So if we do scripts descriptions, this is new. Descriptions for custom commands shown in console help. I've actually never written that, so I'm going to read on that real quick. So if we do script descriptions, it's not even documented. But if we say, I'm assuming if we go installs a Drupal 8 site for integration testing with PHP unit. So let's see why this failed. Again, it's due to the mismatched definitions here. When it tries to read the code, I guess that might mean we need to bump down our version of PHP unit. Let's try with PHP unit 8.0. 8.5. Let's do composer update. Let's do update W so it updates all. Oh, why is this happening? So require that. Require dev. So we can't. We need to have PHP Unit 9, and Drupal 8 isn't compatible with PHP Unit 9. So I guess we can't run those tests. One thing that Drupal core is doing, and I guess we can hack it here too. Why not? So, oh, thank you for running the actions. That is beautiful. One thing that there's this really dirty hack that core does, and it handles this weird type compatibility. So if we look back at this code, where is equal is intended, oh, it disappeared, but this constraint is intended to run, is intended to match, oh, here it goes, now it shows it. So is equal is supposed to have this bool return. And one thing that Drupal does is it actually copies that file and then alters it and loads it and hijacks the file. So I guess we're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to move this here, change this to an if altered file. Do the same for constraint.php. So we'll have altered file equals autoloader find file. Let's copy. So I did shift option command C, which is the same as copy paste special, and copy reference. And that reference, when I paste it, is the fully qualified class name. So now we're going to do the same here. Let's just copy a bit of this. So if altered file. We want to look for this bool. I hope that's just it. It's probably more. So is equal evaluate broken to string isn't. All right, so that's what we need to fix. We need to find public function evaluate. But you know what? I don't know. Wait. Altered code equals. I want to read that part real quick because I don't remember that. We're going to call this mutated constraint abstract. We'll call it mutated abstract constraint. And we're going to update this Git to also have that copied. So let's look, I want to look at this mutated test class and where we have so I guess what is it doing here? So it's finding this, oh, and it's replacing it with Oh, I see. So it's actually replacing a dynamic insert because the path changed. So, like I've said before, and it's really hard to explain, that whenever Drupal runs its test case, it actually copies this file, mutates it, and then says load this instead. So we're going to be doing the same thing here. Probably don't need to. Probably can make this simpler, but I'm just going to keep it, and we're going to see if it works. So now, if I were to run PHP unit, you will see that we have the abstract constraint here, and evaluate still says question mark bool, and is not what I thought would happen. Public function bool. This is supposed to work the same exact way. Mutated test case worked. Let's see. Let's delete the two things. I guess we can do this even simpler. If I go to, let's do this. We're going to get real simple with it instead of this fancy search and replace. We're going to say altered code equals string replace. We're going to search for that. We're going to place it with that. Why are there these errors? Why? Oh, shoot. Replace quotes. Replace quotes. Expected semicolon. Why? Oh, shoot. There we go. Let's fix this here too. Ah. Goodness gracious. All right, I'm backing up. I really messed this up somehow. All right, we're gonna constraint. So I wonder why the test passed on GitHub, but then they broke for me here. That makes me sad. So altered code equals string replace, search, replace, subject is altered code. All right. Now, let's try and make this work. It needs to be backslash to escape, dollar symbol, and it's the same but without that. Altered code wants this on its own line. All right, let's try running the test again and hope that it clears things up. I'm going to tab over to that pull request. So 8 checks ran. We've got the Canary form as push and pull request, push and pull request, push and pull request. Why is it doing both? Why is it running twice? On push, on request. Oh, probably because it's the same commit. So the commit was pushed and it's showing that it's probably showing the results from that same commit because it's the same Git object between the branch and there. So we're green. I don't know why PHP unit is breaking. Cannot call constructor. Test integration 2, array error cannot call constructor. Did I break something here? Oh, it looks like, I don't think it was due to this because we're copying the same methods. So let's look at this. Maybe we can't have this Drupal integration test after all, which is not great. So, all right. Data test suite command. So, oh, it's even failing in here. So let's try it in the state times storage. Let's run it and we'll see why. Maybe run it in PHP unit will. Okay. Well, Drupal integration test. Drupal test rector deprecation. Test data 0 cannot call constructor. Well, I don't know what is happening because the PHP unit in here worked fine. Test frameworks, local, autoload, refresh, configuration file. That was fine. I'm going to run all of our tests. Run source PHP unit. So the index test passed. Let's see what happens with the integration. So that errored, cannot call constructor. Object has attribute. Extends constraint. Okay, so it's not loading this constraint file. So I guess that trick is not working like I would hope. Cannot call constructor. So this isn't working. Let's see if we can figure out why. So we're doing the same approach. Oh, wait. If altered file, hold on. I think I know why. Wait. If the altered file doesn't exist, so we find the file name, include the file name. Let's do a breakpoint there. And we're going to debug this class. Debug it. So it's fine individually. But when it runs after here, it breaks. Oh, some old breakpoints from last time. The auto loading. Yep. All right, and then this trait messing around with. I want to try to catch the error to see if it loads this. I don't know if it's going to breakpoint there. Cannot call constructor. Maybe I can breakpoint here. Assert object not has attribute. Just PHP has had so many major versions and is moving so quick beyond a lot of the legacy code. And there's a lot of Drupal tests that are not updated, especially with return types. And it is making this very, very hard. That didn't even catch. Yes, I want to edit. So I'm going to do a stop equals null and try to breakpoint here. I just want to try to be able to catch this. I hope. And see why this isn't running. Maybe I needed to put a breakpoint in here and here. So stop is null. Assert that. We're looking for the class logical not. And the class object has attribute. Let's find that class in the composer autoloader. Find file. It found the file. So one problem, okay. I guess that's the problem we're having. is we're ending up loading the autoloader from Drupal, which is picking up that PHP unit instead of our own, which is to be expected. So maybe we can't have this test work if it has the PHP unit from there. So include file, though it's calling this from inside of Drupal. Class has attribute. We've got the file from inside there. And we're inside the mutated test case. While true. Object has attribute. So now this extends constraints. So we're looking for parent construct, and this is when it explodes. Cannot call constructor in there because it cannot find the parent, because the why does this work? Why does this explode but not this mutated test case? Like, why does that fix everything? All right, I'm gonna close everything, close all tabs, and kind of refocus. So this is copied over and works just fine because all things extend this class. But when we load this, it's only loading it for the main autoloader. So I wonder, so this is just fixing it for our autoloader, not the one inside of Drupal itself, and that's why it might be breaking. This is such a mess. Let's see. We're doing core dev. I don't know if we can run the integration test, but also it passed here. So I'm going to see what GitHub Actions does, because with my locals being silly, maybe it's not mine. Maybe it's just me. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to step backwards. I originally just working on this documentation. So let's let the CI be the source of truth, because I went too far down the rabbit hole. Let's turn off the verbosity, and we will document this part. There, let's delete that file. One thing I do want to do is write an automated test. Adding tests. We'll do functional tests. Add examples. We'll leave this, and we're gonna say rector rules PHP unit tests. We follow the same testing pattern as rector. Let's see if rector has docs. So github.com rector PHP. And if we can just borrow whatever rector has for their docs. I've noticed, I feel like their docs are very sparse. Or it's because they're all inside the repo. There isn't a website. How to create a rule. How to add a test for a rector rule. Ah, beautiful. Love it. Read their wonderful documentation. Love it. I'll just take the easy way out. So let's call this document running PHP unit. All right, I'm going to commit and push. And we're going to just see what happens on this push. So every time I push, it needs an approval until I get a commit. That's extremely annoying. Apparently, I need somebody to approve it every time until I get my first commit to the project. So that's fairly. Well, I guess I'm blocked then until I don't know when I get a commit in. But what I can do is see if I can run actions on my fork. I can. All right, great. So I can at least I can at least look at all the actions here, and it looks like they all passed. So that's one good workaround. Which is silly. Like, okay, if you can run it on your fork, why don't they just let the pull request run it? And I don't get it. So let's look at all the output here. Since my local was being silly, and it might also be, what are we testing with? What version of PHP unit? That could be part of it too. Unit tests are running with 7.3, and locally I have 7.4. So that could be part of it too. I'm not technically testing with the same setup. So let's go through composer install, create project, composer run, PHP unit. All right. So my local is just messing up, probably because I have 7.4 instead of 7.3. I'm going to chalk it up to that. Let's look at static analysis. No errors. Web form. Run rector. This was having some bugs, so it's got a notice. Process completed and exited with 255. Yeah, web form's like crashing for a random reason that we need to investigate later. And the diff is empty there. Okay, so I think we should be okay. Maybe we need to make sure to note the PHP version. I can't easily change my PHP version. So I wonder if I should note that in here. Integration test setup. I guess we need to change this too. So rector functional tests using installation tests. Rector automated. I want to say automated tests. No extra tools needed to run the functional test. I mean, tools are needed. I guess we'll just change this to setup because now we're not using behat, and people can run this comparison if they wanted to, but I don't think anybody really would because it requires a really big setup. So I'm just going to change that. We are currently running our tests on PHP 7.3. You may encounter problems when running on PHP 7.4 due due to libraries. I'm just gonna whatever. I'm just gonna say that. Document add documentation about PHP version. Let's push that. I could run. So let's see. I wonder. Oh no, because all my dependencies are based on 7.4. So I was thinking like if I could just run it in Docker and get away with it, but not entirely. But I think this is now set. I'm just seeing if I can get a hold of something. Nope. All right. So the next step is you gotta wait to get it merged. I can't really do anything there. I guess I could move on to splitting out the autoloader and writing tests for that, which would be a big next, or considering on the next steps for Drupal 9. Or I could call it early today and wait for that. So I think I'm just going to call it early today because I'm blocked and, you know, I don't really have the steam to switch over to the auto loading. So hopefully this gets merged in, and next week I can work on getting it ready for Drupal 9 deprecations and getting the community able to contribute Drupal 9 rules or rector rules. Yep. So sorry, it's a little short and uneventful. But this, like, this is one thing. Open source isn't just about writing code and putting up patches. It is explaining your changes. It is trying to coordinate with other people and, explaining the things you've done. And it's not just throw money at it and get development done. There's these people time. So thanks for tuning in. Again, sorry it's a short one, but I'm hoping that this is like the last effort to get Drupal-rector upgraded to Rector 0.10 so we can unblock Drupal 10 readiness for the project. Have a good one.